Hi, I'm Boone, and this is Boone's Design. And today, what I want to go ahead and show you guys is a product that I have, which is 1/64 or HO metal guardrail. Yes, metal guardrail. Nothing quite like it out on the market. Now, this is something that I've been working on for at least the 2.5 years in trying to come up with a process and a way of doing it and everything else that I can stand behind and say, yep, that looks good. Now, it wasn't until recently that I was able to collaborate with a friend of mine out of Australia, and he helped me out, and I was able to go ahead and get the tooling and stuff that it's going to take to produce this guardrail. So the guardrail itself isn't something that I just threw together. It is actually something that's been going on with trial and error for quite a while. And now I have a product that I can stand behind and present to you guys that it's pretty cool. So with that, let's go ahead and let's start showing you guys a little bit more about this guardrail. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's learn a little bit more about this 1/64 HO metal guardrail. So the material that I used for it was a light aluminum flashing material. And if you lay the material out by itself, it doesn't have very much strength to it. But as soon as you start putting the actual bends and the mandrel bends into this thing, it strengthens it up quite significantly. So here is a bundle of guardrail. This is what would come in the kit. And what you have is 5 separate pieces of guardrail here. And they're 18 inches long. So what that means is that you get 7.5 feet of guardrail per bundle. That's quite a bit when it comes to HO. Now, here is that. Now, if we want to know exactly what the height is of our guardrail, well, let's go ahead and we'll take out our caliper right here. And we'll go ahead and measure it out. And what we have is it's about 6.99 millimeters or 7 millimeters. So it's not that wide. It's very, very small stuff. So let me go ahead and I'll clear this out. And just for giggles, let me go ahead and move that. Let's go ahead and take this guardrail and let's put it next to our little AFX Porsche here. And you can kind of get an idea of the scale of that guardrail. It looks really good next to the cars, right? So kind of cool. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can mount this specific guardrail. Now, I'm sure that there are lots of other ways that people are going to find out once they start playing with this stuff. But right off the bat for this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys 2 different methods on how to mount this guardrail. The easiest method, so what I'm going to start out with first, is just by using the stock plastic guardrails that come in HO sets. And you can buy these separate. Now, this is the old Tyco. It's the glow in the dark, type of old rails. And I did this by happen chance, right? This was not my goal when I first started building this. I was thinking of a different way, but it just happened to work this way too. And that's pretty cool. So what I mean by that is that this guardrail itself can lay right over the top of this, like so, right? And you can mount it to the plastic guardrail. How cool is that? So this actually goes right over the top. So if you were to take, like I have here, I have some old plastic guardrail that I just went ahead and sprayed silver, right? And if I take this, and there's 2 strands of guardrail here, right? So these little strands or these little straights are only about 9 inches, a little bit less than 9 inches. Looks like 8 3/4. So with your spacing and everything else, this being 18 inches, it goes the full span of 2. Plus you have a little bit hanging over on the edge on both sides. so that if you were putting guardrail continuously, you have area over here for an overlap so you don't have a seam. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now let's go ahead and just kind of show you guys how would I go about actually mounting it to the plastic, right? Well, the easiest way, and this being light aluminum, you can go ahead and manipulate it. So let's go ahead and let's straighten it out a little bit. So we'll get it kind of straightened out like so. So there it is like this, right? And what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and mount it right onto here. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and take some light 220 sandpaper right here. And what I'm going to do is let me move this guy out of the way. What I'm going to do is put a light scuff on the back side of this. And the reason why I'm going to do this is so that the aluminum has a little bit of a grit to it. So it has a mechanical, we're going to create a mechanical bond on the back side of this. And we just want to give the aluminum a little bit of tooth so it has better adhesion qualities. How about that? So let me go ahead and I'll just lightly go ahead and scuff this up. I'm just hitting the back side. And also while I'm doing this, if you wanted to paint this guardrail, so you did not want to have it like the raw aluminum, I would just go ahead and do a light scuff on the outside of it. And you can go ahead and spray it like with a bomb can or whatever. So you could change the color on this to white or to turquoise or red or whatever color you want to go. So once I have that, I'll go ahead and take a rag. Let's just wipe off our little bit of sanding dust off the backside. Now what I do is just go ahead and take a little bit of Gorilla Glue. And this is the gel Gorilla Glue. And I will go ahead and just dab this on in certain spots here. Like so. Come on. All right. Once I have that down, then I can take my rail, line it up to this the way I want to have it on there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply it on. Now, the other thing that you might want to do, so you don't have to sit here and hang on to it, is if we want to get some, and I will go get that right now. All right, so went ahead and got some clamps, got all clamped down. Wasn't thinking, I should have got my clamps out. But I got all clamped down, glued, and let it sit a little bit. Let's go ahead and take these off. Okay, so we'll go ahead and remove our clamps, and we'll see how our guardrail looks. So, and you don't even have to press it down very, very hard. It just goes right in, but there we go. And it's into place. It looks pretty cool. You know, you can see that metal there and everything else. Now, if we flip this around, this side over here hasn't been done. That's just been sprayed with just a bomb can silver, which, you know, it looks a lot better than the day glow greens, right? Obviously it looks better than that. But if you want to step up the guardrail on your layout a little bit more, that's pretty cool. So now with this, like any other guardrail, if you want to go ahead and do a single, you can do a single, or if you wanted to and you wanted to do a double strand, like a double side guardrail, something like this, that's also possible, right? You're not going to be able to per se do it, I don't think, with the plastic. That's just not gonna, it's not gonna work that way. You're gonna have to make some different supports. But we'll come back and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. But this is the first method if you want to go ahead and glue it to, you know, to the plastic. It is possible. Now, the other thing with this is, being that you're dealing with metal, okay, one, it's going to be, it might be sharp, so watch out. You might cut yourself. That's a number one. Well, watch out for that. Number two is that when you go ahead and put this on the layout, okay, the direction that your cars are going, right? This is important. The direction that your cars are going, you want to go ahead and lay this over the top so that the seam is hanging out going down track, right? So if we go ahead and put this on, and our car is moving from right to left, okay, we want to make sure that our guardrail is going to go over the top. The right hand, say we have these two pieces right here, right? This is our left hand guardrail, it's our right hand guardrail. You want to make sure the right hand is going to lap over the top, okay? And the reason for that is the seam right here on the side. So if a car comes off, you don't want to have a seam right here. If it was going the opposite way, that can catch, okay? So if it's laid over the top, when it comes around, it'll slide off that seam, okay? So kind of something you want to think about when you start applying this onto your layout. So there's the first way of doing this. We have metal guardrail mounted to the existing plastic. Now let me go ahead and set this off to the side. Set that over here. Now let's get another little piece of guardrail out here. So here we go. We got a little piece of guardrail, just a small one. Now, want to kind of show something with this separate from that. Okay, so here's another thing with it. Say you have an application that a full 18 inches is just too long. You need a short section, right? So you need a short section. Just go ahead and take some just regular scissors and go ahead and slice it off. Just like that, okay? There we go. We went ahead and shortened our guardrail. Now, if the sides, maybe they get a little bit deformed when you do that, go ahead and grab yourself just a little bit of brass tube. I think this is the 5/32 brass tube. You can set that down, put your guardrail on top of it, and by using your nail, you can go ahead and just kind of run it down onto that and straighten up those edges, okay? So again, I'll just go ahead and set this down so it's in the groove right here. And I'm taking my thumbnail and I'm just going to go ahead and just roll it off to the side. And what we've done now is we went ahead and straightened out the guardrail so it doesn't flange or anything else. It's nice and crisp like with the rest of it. So that's what you can do as far as trimming this guardrail. And you could see, I mean, it trimmed very easily, right? On the side here, I went ahead and hammered that out, okay? So let me show you this. So being that it's metal guardrail, right? It's not plastic, it's not wood, it's metal. Metal's cool. So I have my little hammer here. Say I want to go ahead and do at the end of a pit lane or something like that. And I don't want my guardrail to be just off the side. I want it to be finished off, right? Well, go ahead and take a hammer, light hammer, and what I'm going to do is just tap this. I'm going to flange it out just a little bit. So now it's flanged. I'm going to take that little piece of pipe that we were talking about, and I'm going to go ahead and roll this. So I'm going to roll it onto the end. Just like so. And now with just a little bit of a tweak here. And there we go. Now I have a rolled edge from my guardrail. Say it comes to the end of something, right? Pretty cool. Other thing with this, say you want to go ahead and make a sharp turn, not a gradual turn, a sharp turn, okay? Go ahead and you could grab a hammer, you could grab any type of doweling, something like that. Actually, let me go ahead and I will grab a piece of dowel. So let me grab a piece of dowel. Here we go. I got a piece of dowel. It's almost like a broom handle stick, right? And I'm just using this as a quick reference. So say you wanted to go ahead and bend this around that, go ahead and put some pressure on it and just bring it on through. Okay? So we can just bring it right on around. Slide that off. And now we've got a sharp turn to our guardrail as well. Okay? So you can kind of start seeing the possibilities with a metal guardrail, right? Now bending with it this way is easy, okay? That's the easy way. The other way, let's just see here. Let's take the same piece of guardrail and let's go ahead and bend it the opposite way. So now we're going to bend it the opposite way. And this is the part that everybody gets kind of freaked out at, right? Because they're like, well, it kinks when I do that and stuff. Well, look what I'm doing here. I just bend it all the way out. So I did a reverse. So let me go ahead and I'll bring this out just like so. So there we go. All right. So we come back. Let me go ahead and show you guys the other way to mount this guardrail. Okay, now let me go ahead and I'll show you guys how to do this and mount it a different way. Okay, so the first one, we went ahead and mounted it on a plastic piece of original guardrail for HO. Now we're going to go ahead and do is create our own posts for it. Now, what I'm using is, this is 1/8 inch square dowel balsa. Okay, so it's just regular square dowel balsa. And what I have here is a little block of wood, right? And if you notice, I have a couple different marks on here. One down here is 62 millimeters from point to point. What that is let me go ahead and set this rail down. That's the distance that I can put my posts, right? Now, you might want to go ahead and tighten these up so they're closer together, okay? But I'm just kind of showing you guys this as a quick reference. So what I do is I have a sharp kind of like auger pointer here, and I'll just go ahead and take this and pump it down through. So I made a hole, keep that lined up, bring it down onto this one, make my hole, and then what I'll do is just go ahead and move this down, right? And go ahead and make my next hole. And you notice it doesn't take much to punch through. It's kind of amazing. The material is very thin and everything else, but as soon as these bends go into it, all of a sudden it has all its strength. So real easy to work with. So you can see how simple that was, right? So let me go ahead and I'll pump out this other one real quick. Let me go ahead and do this. So I'll get that one there, bring that one there, and I'll just go ahead. What I made, 3 holes on that one? So 3 holes on this one, okay? And what we're going to do with this guy right here is we're going to make double guardrail, right? And then this little guy right here, I'm going to make single. But I'm going to go ahead and use the same distancing. So I'm just going to push my hole, move this down, put my hole through. Okay, there we go. So I have that. Now, you'll notice these two numbers up here. I have one at 22 millimeters and I have one at 31 millimeters, and to those 2 points. And what those are, grab my razor blade here, what those are our post height, okay? So these are the length of our posts. Now the 22 is for the single guardrail. So what I'm going to do is just take my balsa and I'm just going to go ahead and slice that off. So I had 3, so let's make 3 posts for it. And there we go. I got 3 posts for my single rail, okay? And I need 3 posts for my double rail. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So I got all my posts done. And you can see, I mean, it goes really quick once you have certain things laid out. So let me go ahead and get this squared away, and we come back. I'll show you guys how to mount it on. Okay, so we're back. Now, you can see that I have 1 post on here already. You notice how long it is, right? You're probably going, why is it a little bit long? Well, if we take our track, okay, depending on how you have your track, your lengths are going to go ahead and be different. And what I have here is the same height as what's there, a little bit taller, right? So if I had foam or whatever, I can make a divot and then go ahead and glue my post in as far as the rail goes on scenery, okay? Or you could go ahead and try to fit a little bit of a pin at the bottom of it, but I would just kind of go with taking a little bit of a hole and planting that down into your scenery, okay? So there is that. Let me go ahead and show you how he did this. Now, I went ahead, remember this is cut at 22 millimeters, right? So I go ahead and line that up. We have the hole that's right there. I'm going to line that right up on top of my post. And then I'm going to take some of these small wire brads, okay? And these are the 5/8 by 18 gauge. They're little tiny guys. And I'll show you. It's kind of hard to do this with. Okay, let me just take a couple of these out, stick them in there, so that works. All right, so here's this tiny little guy. So we'll take him, we'll make sure our post is lined up. So we got this guy in the middle of our post. We're going to take that little nail or that little brad, we're going to set it in there like so. Take our hammer, tap that down in. And once it's run through, we're just going to take this and we're going to push it the rest of the way, okay? So then we can push this out the rest of the way, and then it's all the way through. Now the back side of that, go ahead and take some dikes, and then you can clip this off in the back, like so, and then there you go. You got it mounted on there. Now, one thing I do suggest is on the back side of this, taking a little dab of super glue and maybe putting some super glue on the back side of these nail heads that are right here, the points, just so that it just keeps everything together. So it's, you know, it's not going anywhere. Just make sure that they're straight up and down, okay? And then just go ahead and take a little bit of super glue and put on the back side of that. And then once that dries, it's ready to go ahead and mount onto your layout. Now, so there is the single, okay? The double, it's the same way. We have, except for the only thing is we have a longer post, right? So let me go ahead and I'll grab my rail, grab my nail. Let me go ahead and line this guy up where I want it. Put him in like so. Okay, I got him there. Now I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to leave it there because we got two of them to put in, right? Double rails, I'm going to let you know right now, are just double the fun. So go ahead and line your other rail up. Find your post. Set it like so. Give it a tap. And let's go ahead and it's not, that doesn't feel like it's through. That should be through. And these guys are so small that they just go right on through. Okay, so there we go. They're both in. They're both going through. Let's just go ahead and we'll push them on up. Like so. Now we got a double rail. Let me go ahead and trim off the back side. I'll just trim this off like so. That one wants to slip a little bit. So this is where that super glue really comes in handy. So then you would do is just go ahead and put the super glue on the back side. But just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. There it is as a double rail. So you just keep on going down the way, putting your posts in, get that super glue on the back side. Once it's all secure, you can go ahead and put on your layout. So there we go. I showed you guys 2 different ways to go ahead and do this. And yeah, there we are. All right, so there we go. Went ahead and showed you guys how to assemble that 1/64th HO guardrail. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. And being that is made out of aluminum and everything else, it has a completely different look when it's down on the layout. It gives it that real realism, right? Doesn't look like plastic, doesn't look like MDF wood or anything like that. You look at it and you can tell, yeah, that's metal, you know, that looks legit. So kind of one of those things, if you're going for kind of that little bit over the top type of touch on your HO layout, you know, this type of guardrail is definitely something you might be interested in. Okay, so like I said also in the video, these are a few different methods that I showed you guys on how to mount these. I'm sure as soon as other people, some real creative people, get these in their hands, they're going to find all sorts of different ways to go ahead and mount these little guardrail. So there we go. All right, so if you like this guardrail and stuff like that, go ahead, go on over to Boone's Design, and it's available and it's ready. Okay, so there we go. All right, so have fun and keep it in the slot.